Hi, Dave here. Mastering loop lighting. Many different types of lighting in portraiture, but loop is the most versatile. Getting the correct angle. In this case, I was outside, sunny day. I couldn't move the sun to create the loop lighting I wanted, so I added an external flash. I moved my subject in open shade, and I moved external flash off to the side and up and pointed the flash downward to create the loop shadow I wanted under the nose. And this is pretty close to what I wanted. I didn't quite get my flash up high enough, so this shadow should be a little bit lower. I'll show you later in another image. This turns a two-dimensional piece of paper into a three-dimensional image on a piece of paper. In other words, it creates modeling in the face, and that's what you want in portraiture. And the way we do that is we move the main light off to the side 45 degrees, and not shown here is I also move the light up 45 degrees, and that's what creates that loop shadow under the nose. So this is a bad example of not creating the exact loop shadow, because as you can see here, it's not under the nose, it's to the side of the nose, the loop shadow. And the reason for that is I'm showing how to do a loop lighting pattern just using window light. And the window happens to be right here. This is the frame of the window. So this is an example of what not to do. So how do we fix this? Well, I can't move the window up, so I move my subject down. For example, you could have the subject seated on the floor if you needed, instead of standing, if you needed to create that loop shadow. But this is really the perfect loop shadow right here that I created with just window light. And here's an example of a portrait I did with window light coming from the same direction. To control the relation of the subject to the height of the window, what do you do when you have a very large window? It almost goes to the floor. Okay, so it's going to create this even lighting shadow, and it's not going to create the loop pattern. What you can do is what I show here is you can block off with a fabric or something, tape it up to block the window, and so you've effectively moved the window up to create that loop lighting on the person. Personally, I like a two-light portrait, and so I add a fill light. As long as you have a main source of light, whether it's outside or inside. In this case, inside being the window light. You can add a second source to create your fill. So this shows I added a flash and an umbrella, and it was directly behind the camera and a little up, but it's on the camera axis line, and that's what creates this this portrait I have up here in the top image. With flash, a lot of people use fill flash, and that's one of my points is that if you're outside, as long as you have a main source of light, you can use fill flash. A lot of people use fill flash as a main light, but you really need to use it as fill. And so in this case, I dropped the flash 1 to 2 stops below the window light. What I found is if you point an umbrella directly at your subject, you get a better lighting pattern. In this case, if you feather the umbrella, you typically get a double shadow. In this case, feathering is turning the flash off to the side where it skims the face, and let me show you how that really affects the image. Okay, this first image here, I pointed the umbrella light directly at the face to create this loop shadow under the nose, and you can see it right here. In this second image, I feathered the umbrella, and you can see there's this second shadow, this softer shadow, but it creates a unnatural double light pattern on the nose. So I prefer to point an umbrella directly at the subject. You can feather a softbox, but not an umbrella. That's my opinion. So what do you do if you have a light, but it's not at the right angle for a loop shadow? So in this case, for example, let's assume I couldn't get a good lighting pattern on the face, but I do have light on the subject. In this case, I can use the existing light as a fill light. In this case right now, it's a main light, but if I add a flash and overpower the existing light, I create my own main light. And so I moved an umbrella over to the side and up and overpowered the window light. I'm still using window light as a fill, and I was able to create that proper loop lighting shadow, and at the same time I get a two light portrait. So my conclusion is, to create the proper loop lighting, the main light needs to be off to the side and above your subject with the light directed downward. You can feather a softbox, but aim an umbrella directly at your subject and add flash to create the proper loop light when it is difficult to do using existing or ambient light. And that's it. I'm Dave. L. David Likes Photography. Thanks for watching.